I didn't see you there.
Oh, hello. What a music anecdote. Oh, hello. Today my guest is Patrick Trahey. I'm Tommy P. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and validate me online at TommyP365. Are you online?
Yeah.
Cool. Nightcrawler. Have you seen Nightcrawler?
Wait, hold on. I should say where I'm online, right?
You had your opportunity.
No, I'm going to...
It's on the bottom of the screen right now.
Oh, cool. That's so much easier than spelling it. It's movie magic. Did I see Nightcrawler? I have not.
Well, there's your recommendation. I would lend you my Blu-ray, but...
Do PS4s play Blu-ray?
My Dungeon Master has it. I believe they do, because Sony developed that technology. And the reason Xbox 360 or whatever, any of them don't have the Blu-ray is because Sony won't license the tech to Microsoft.
Those bastards. So your Dungeon Master has it?
To capitalism. I always drink to world peace. Do you know that movie?
No.
Groundhog Day.
I've seen it, but it was a long time ago.
I just heard that they're making an Almost Famous musical adaptation.
Oh, fun.
Well, it's one of my favorite movies, so fuck you.
Don't mistake my sarcasm for cruelty.
Is sarcasm supposed to be endearing?
Yeah.
Did you ever have an account on a dating app or
I did.
website?
Briefly. It was terrible.
The experience of your profile?
The experience. My profile may have been terrible as well. I don't know. It worked well enough for a while, but it wasn't fun.
Did you ever come across people who said they were fluent in sarcasm, is what makes me think of it?
I did not. They probably weren't.
It's a terrible trope. It's like warning signs if you ever see someone who said that they're fluent in sarcasm. It's just like, no, ignore, next.
It's like when people wear shirts with funny catchphrases, you can almost guarantee they're probably not very funny because they couldn't think of that shit on their own.
Or they don't just share memes now. Someone pointed out that those graphic tees of funny, witty things in the 90s and whenever the fuck were just memes before the internet.
Yeah. Well, now they're just memes on your shirt.
I still fucking hate them.
No. To each their own. I wear this. It's nondescript.
Does flannel count as checkered patterned? Like I was hanging out with somebody and I was mentioned, like he's like, hey, this is not a checkered shirt. This is a flannel shirt.
That seems like it seems like quibbling.
I was relating checkered shirts to douchebags, though, so I think it got kind of defensive.
I mean, I don't see how it couldn't be. I guess if you really want to get technical, does a checkered board technically only have two colors, whereas this has... Well, it only has two colors, but it has two colors and a pattern.
An overlay. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a fuck... Whatever. You call it what you want. It's a cool shirt.
My guest. So, just wanted to see what happened there. I finished reading the first 5 issues of the 12 today.
Nice.
Yeah.
On Comixology?
Yeah.
Nice. What'd you think?
Comic books is not a medium with which I am deeply familiar. It's actually only the second run of something I've purchased.
Mm.
So, I mean, I liked it, and I was not predicting where it was going, and just kind of going along with the adventure, the world that was established there, just kind of seeing how it all played out. Well, before we go too much into it, you've got a Kickstarter going for a
Yeah, the graphic novel.
Yeah, you say words now.
Yeah. So the graphic novel is the compilation of issues 1 through 5. It comes out in December from Alterna Comics. It'll be out in stores everywhere, and the Kickstarter is to fund that, and it's people's chance to pre-order and get a copy.
Nice.
As soon as they can. There's a whole bunch of other stuff available. There's you can get the single issue comics, you can get art, some swag. There's a whole bunch of prints that friends and peers did for the Kickstarter. We've added a couple new rewards as well. So the publisher, Alterna, the dude behind Alterna, Peter Samedi, he's going to do some sketch cards, which people can get custom sketch cards. And we also added like the Big Daddy reward of like chip in $200 and you can get your likeness in a future issue of the 12.
Nice. Is there a planned, and I think maybe just because it was called the 12, I was wondering if it was going to be like a set end game run of the 12 like issues, or because I know it's also like it's subcaptioned The Father. Are there going to be like different storylines and there will be like 12 different runs of the 12 and each one will follow 12 different people, something like that?
Yeah, that was the basic gist of it. So the first book is Caleb's story. There are future books. I've written scripts for several books, and we've started artwork on the next book, which is issues 6 through 10. Each book in the series has a different protagonist, and then their own self-contained story arcs, so they don't... I mean, there is overlap, but it's not... Like, the stories don't run direct into one another. Like, theoretically, you could pick up any story in the series and read it and get a full and complete story. Like,
Caleb's off doing something, and in another run, you could see, like they'll run parallel, so you can see, like, what Hank's up to somewhere else, theoretically, and, but, like, they'll never overlap where, like, you're just reusing shit from the Caleb run as, like, a few pages of Hank's book.
Yeah, they won't overlap in that sense. You won't see, like, oh, this is Hank's perspective of that story. Like, eventually, there would be, like, Hank would have his own book. But it wouldn't be, it wouldn't really center around Caleb and what was going on with him.
Are you more a Hank or a Caleb?
Oh man, in that story I'm probably Eli.
Did you see The Last Jedi?
I did.
The reason I bring it up is because they tell that story about Luke thinking about killing Ben Solo. And so, like, saying that, like, things don't overlap, but just thinking of that concept of getting a same event from different people's perspectives and then getting the sense of, like, how much you trust the narrator of any given story.
Yeah.
It was interesting in that.
That was one of the stronger parts of that movie.
Were you not a fan overall?
I had mixed feelings. I think it has a lot of, like, the parts that work really well, and the parts that don't really don't. There's not a lot of middle ground in that movie. Like, either it's really, really working or it's really, really not.
I thought that it would have played better had Rey removed the rocks at the back of the cave, and then Finn, you know, they saw each other, and then she runs up and kisses Finn after Rose had just kissed Finn, like the, oh, I love you grand gesture. And then Oscar Isaac, Star-Lord, Star Wars, for Poe.
Yeah.
Poe comes and sees Finn, and then kisses Finn. And just everybody's got the hots for Finn.
You just wanted, like, a little orgy at the end.
Well, it's a kid's movie. It's a kid's movie about laser swords and space wizards.
Yeah.
But who doesn't want Finn?
I don't know.
He was in that movie, Attack the Block.
He was. Yeah. What else has he been in?
Was he in Detroit?
I don't know.
I still haven't seen that one.
You watch a lot more movies than I do.
As of seeing Blue Velvet last night, I've seen 1,038 that I know of.
Holy shit.
I've got a Google sheet. You can look it up online. It's public.
Wow. I haven't seen that many movies.
I went through Box Office Mojo, which lists the top 200 grossing films every year,
Yeah.
and went back through up until, I think, 1980, just to kind of see like what movie came out to spark my memory. I put it all on the Google sheet.
Nice.
And then I have a list of near 500 films that I want to see.
That's a lot of movies.
I've all been catching up basically in the last 2 years, because growing up, I would just watch movies I'd already seen over and over again, like comfort food. Like Not Another Teen Movie, classic. Euro Trip, excellent cinema right there. Love it.
I remember that movie.
Empire Records, Days Confused, Titanic, Aladdin, Almost Famous.
Yeah. What were some movies? I mean, I remember rewatching movies. I think we watched the Ninja Turtles several times. The first one.
Did you ever see TMNT? Like, it wasn't even like CGI. It was just like a HD cartoon movie that came out around like 2008 or something. Me neither. What about the Michael Bay ones?
I haven't seen those.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Look
at how much we have in common.
I didn't think that they would be good, and I didn't bother to find out.
Have you seen the Bumblebee trailer?
No. Oh, yeah, the new Transformer thing. Yeah, not interested.
Bay's not directing it.
Yeah.
And people were talking about how it's, like, why are you doing a prequel to Bay's Transformers when it's already been announced that Hasbro is launching their own film production company and they're going to clearly reboot Transformers, but they've never said that this is a prequel to the Bay ones. Maybe Bumblebee is the start of the whole new franchise.
Maybe.
It takes place in the 80s, the Haley Steinfeld.
I was never that into Transformers.
I had a couple when I was a kid, but I never watched the cartoon. It's something I was never into, just like Power Rangers or...
Yeah. I was more of a Dark Knight kid. The Batman animated series was my favorite cartoon.
I never got into that either, and I think it's probably because the Gargoyles show was that on the same network?
That was a good show. I don't remember what networks they were on.
I think Gargoyles turned me off of dark cartoons, like just visually dark, not thematic.
Too broody.
Because I think Ren and Stimpy was pretty dark content-wise.
Yeah.
I loved Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, Ren and Stimpy's fucked up, man.
I thought it was so edgy when I was 8 years old because they said the word crap.
Oh no. Then you're gonna get your ears all full of...
There's a lot of physical abuse in that show too.
Yeah. I've heard that the dude who makes it is a creeper.
Yeah, I think there was something about that. So the 12.
That was a nice little rough cut. Like, anywho, what about him?
Can you say who or maybe you did and I'm a bad listener. The next storyline follows?
Sure. The next book in the series is about twin brothers, Michael and Nathan, who have grown up in this really small town in the shadow of this defunct nuclear power plant. And so their town, throughout their whole lives, has been riddled with radiation sickness. And they've seen so much suffering and death in their time that they've always wanted to leave. And when one of their really good friends passes away, they finally decide, fuck it, we're going to head out. They have some help from some strangers who've recently come to town. And then they set off on the roads, only to discover that one of them is sick with the radiation poisoning.
and the story is mostly their journey from their town to the Promised Land, which is the City of the 12, aka Chicago.
Sick with the radiation poisoning. It's like, Pa's got the consumption.
I mean, it's not too far off.
I don't recall seeing any street names used, so I don't know if like maybe at this point street signs even exist anymore, and I haven't exactly gotten a gauge on how far in the future, unless this is just a current day but parallel timeline, had the Cuban Missile Crisis gone very differently. But you mentioned nuclear power plant. I was wondering, because this is based off of actual geography, did you look into nuclear power plants in like a certain radius of Chicago and pick one to base it off of?
Yeah, there was a very specific reason that I picked the little town that they live in, which is a bit spoilery, and I'm not going to say what it is.
Okay.
But there is an actual nuclear power plant around where that town is. It's in Kansas.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask if it was in Michigan.
No.
Okay, because I know two on the lake.
Yeah. No, it's in Kansas. There's a specific reason I picked that town, but and then I had to sort of like do a little. It is a little weird because there's a ton of nuclear power plants in Illinois, and it doesn't really come up in the story, but there's some backstory. But I mean, the characters in the story don't really know like what became of the world or why it is the way it is, so they don't really know. So it doesn't really come up. I know the answer to the whole apocalypse thing, but it's never really explicitly said in the story.
Like even by the, well, is this the kind of thing where do you have like a finite end game in mind on this, or like after you go through all characters, you could just go back to Caleb again and start doing like just full cycles? Or
I suppose I could. I don't know if I'd really want to. I mean, there's other stories I want to tell as well.
They have another something out. I remember seeing different.
I have a few other stories in the works.
Is there something else published?
Nothing else published. I have self-published works.
Okay.
I have some short stories that are self-published, but published work, no. I basically the 12 is my published work so far, and I'm working on getting more published works.
How'd you get hooked up with Alterna?
I actually cold pitched them, and they liked it, and they took it.
Nice.
I had been self-publishing for a while, and I had built up not a big following, but a decent little following, and I think that helped.
Going to cons?
Yeah, doing conventions and selling online. I had done a Kickstarter to fund the first issue, and I
believe I submitted to that.
Yeah, I think so. And that was a while ago. I think that was in 2005. And since then, I self-published subsequent issues. And then once we got the book with Alterna, they wanted to release their own run of the issues. Because like they're big on like the single issue comics, and they print on newsprint, which is this like really old school way of printing, and it allows them to sell their books for $1.50, which is a super awesome price point because anyone can pick it up. But so then we re-released everything through them, and it's all available in comic shops now, except issue 5, which comes out in October.
Okay. So, but it's available on Comixology.
It is available on Comixology. It's also available in comic shops, and it's available online through Alterna, through their Etsy shop.
Wait, so then what's happening in October if it's already available in comic shops?
The issue 5 becomes available in comic shops.
Oh, sorry. I thought like right now you're saying it's available in comic shops.
The whole series is available on Comixology.
That's where I got it.
Yeah.
Comixology, it's a thing
Yep.
for comics.
Yep. But the physical comics, number 5 is not out yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I supported the Kickstarter at the level that gave me the first 3, whatever level that was.
That was what I had at the time.
Yeah.
That was what we had finished at that moment.
Are you sticking with the same
Artist?
Yeah, there's 2 people who are mentioned. One's Magnus.
Mm-hmm. He's the letterer.
Okay.
Yeah, the artist is Luis Suarez.
Right, yeah.
They worked. Both of them worked on the entire book. So yeah, but through the next run of issues, 6 through 10, I'm still working with Luis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if the look was going to change from character to character for every book.
I thought about that. If we ever reach a point where Luis is too wrapped up in other projects,
or a little too big for his britches.
too big for your britches.
No, if he ever get to a point where he can't handle the workload or he gets too busy, it would be an easy story to jump into a different artist, just because of the nature of the story. But he's going to stick on for this next book.
When's number 6 come out? Do you have a date yet?
We're shooting for February of 2020. So we're going to spend, we're basically going to spend the rest of this year and then 2019 doing art.
Okay. What are cons like? Or I've never been to one, and so
You should go. I think you might enjoy it. Even if you're not like a big comic person, they are still fun.
Well, yeah, because it's seeped so much into pop culture now with MCU being mainstream, and
Yeah.
I hear people complaining about how San Diego has changed so much. You can't just get your books and then sit on the floor and nerd out over while you're just cooling down from being so sweaty over your excitement. The security's gonna come over and start tasing you. Get up, you gotta go. And it's we're here to enjoy my comics.
I don't think it's been like that in a long time. Cons are fun. They're the best way to meet and talk to fans, which is really cool.
What do your fans call themselves? 12ers?
I long for the day where I have a group of fans so dedicated that they name themselves. I feel like if I had a group of fans that referred to themselves as 12ers, I wouldn't be working a 9-to-5 job to pay for my comic books. So all you 12ers out there, get your shit together.
That feels like a natural break to have a word from our sponsor. It's me. We'll be right back.
Uncle Tommy, are you happy?
Yeah, my generation is the most connected generation in the history of the world, with unlimited access to knowledge and entertainment, and yet we're the most depressed.
That's not healthy.
Chinese food? Orange chicken, crab rangoon.
Jazz hands?
Jazz hands. How do you have so many followers?
My tweets are lit AF.
That's good.
But my teachers won't let me take advanced placement tests to skip grades.
That's bad.
They're not even cookies yet.
They're cookies when they go in the oven.
They're still bad for at least the first third that they're in there.
What?
What? A goldfish doesn't have a soul, Uncle Tommy.
Oh, so it's a Protestant?
I like hanging out with you, Uncle Tommy.
Thanks, I like hanging out with you too.
Your clear and present misery is a beacon of light in my void. It shows me that it's not too late for me and things can still get much worse.
And we're back.
The drinks are full. How did that happen?
Continuity error.
Yeah. Throw some spoons at the screen.
God. So, speaking of, I bought The Room on DVD on Amazon, and about 5 minutes in, I had to hit pause and I Googled The Room audio sync issues, because I wasn't sure if I bought a bad bootleg of The Room, and I realized like, oh no, it's just
The Room.
Yeah, that's The Room.
Yeah, I love that movie.
So I've only seen it the once, and then the following week I went with a double date with mutual friend, Mr. Eric Grau.
The Grau Master.
Hi,
Eric.
My dungeon master.
I assume you're watching this. I love you. Anywho.
Yeah. People were saying like, oh, you gotta go to the music box to see The Room with the full audience and get the whole thing. And they're like
I've heard that.
And it's like, I would now, but I didn't want to have my first time influenced by people who already knew all the jokes.
Yeah.
And all the other laughter.
I don't think that would be a good first viewing of the Room.
Yeah. I wanted to go in cold, so I watched it at home, and then went to go see The Disaster Artist at the Music Box. So then seeing the Disaster Artist at the Music Box was a good setting as opposed to any mainstream cinema, because Music Box has a certain fan following of attendees. So everybody there are Room fanatics, basically.
Yeah.
So then you get all the laughter of the payoffs of the inside jokes. And did you see The Disaster Artist?
I did.
Yeah.
I loved the Disaster Artist. It was surprisingly depressing. I didn't expect myself to feel so much empathy with Tommy Wiseau, but I was like, oh, I feel really bad for him.
He works so hard on something, and then
he's such a buffoon. But
you have a thing that you want to share with the world, and then no one watch your web series, even though you and your niece worked really hard on it.
So tell me more about your comic book. You said that you like to write things that, before we started rolling, you said like, you like to write things to make people sad? Is that what you said?
Oh, well, that was me being glib. I don't necessarily like strive for that, but most of my stories are pretty dark. I don't like do it on purpose. It's just kind of what I enjoy writing.
Yeah. You write what you know.
Yeah. Existential sorrow.
I think that's the theme of our generation.
Yeah. I've had this conversation with many people, but I think the fact that the predominant vision of the future for us is the post-apocalypse. You know, whereas like previous generations, like if you look at how the 50s and the 20s viewed what the future would be like, it was kind of like they were really upbeat about it. They thought it was going to be great. The 80s kind of rolled around and cyberpunk rolled up. We've pretty much gotten to cyberpunk, and so we're looking to the future, and it doesn't look good for the most part.
God, back in the 20s, they thought we were going to be like have flappers doing the Charleston on the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to the moon. It didn't really amount to much.
We played golf and then just kind of gave it the deuce.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I don't know. I write. I think the common theme that I have noticed in my writing is that I often try to show the dark side of good people and the good side of bad people.
Humanizing and trying to show that
there's good and bad in all people. I think that's a common theme that crops up in a lot of my work. Yeah. Trying to show the effect of like bigger systems on individual people.
My first short film, which I'm sure you've obviously seen, it's called It's Not Me, It's You. It's available on YouTube.
Watch it.
The
I'm gonna edit that out.
I'll keep that in.
Cool.
Protagonist is a real piece of shit, and then it ends up with, spoiler alert, His partner was cheating on him, and the deep, profound message there that 5 years ago me was trying to show the world and open their mind to is that there's no clear heroes and villains. It's all just people are shitty. And Oh, I also lent Grau my Blu-ray of Whiplash, Damien Chazelle's first feature.
I've heard good things about that.
I love it. I was literally on the edge of my seat in the cinema for the last 15 minutes of that. It was intense.
Nice. I think the last movie that I saw that like I was like deeply invested in. Well, I guess at Infinity Wars, I loved it. But Blade Runner was. I liked the new Blade Runner quite a bit.
Oh man, that was so great.
I saw it like 3 times in the theater.
My friend Jake lent me his copy of Blade Runner: The Final Cut because I'd never seen that version before.
Mm-hmm.
So much better than the theatrical cut.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Oh, well, you simply must.
I will. All
It's
these
a delight.
recommendations.
They take out all the voiceover,
Okay.
and there's some other differences too. But it's the final cut version that he wanted to do. The studio was like, no one will get it.
Yeah, studios don't know.
That's why the voiceover that Harrison Ford does in the theatrical version sounds so bored and unenthusiastic. He didn't want to do that. He thought the movie was better off without it, so he tried to tank his voiceover performance and give them something they couldn't use. They used it anyway.
Oh, well.
Ugh. And now Han Solo's dead.
You showed them.
That's a good segue to, we'll do some rapid fire questions. There are right and wrong answers. I mean, they're your opinion, but
I'm a Winston Maine.
there are correct and incorrect opinions,
Okay.
as the internet has let us know.
Okay.
Pick a number 1 to 100.
21.
Cubs or Sox?
Socks.
Do you know Christopher Walken?
I've never met him personally.
That'd be cooler if you did. Is it okay to have pineapple on pizza?
Yes.
Good man. You think you're better than me?
Goddamn right.
Fuck you. Sorry, it's just the truth hurts.
It does.
All right, not so much rapid fire now. That was just the icebreaker. Get you loose.
I like these
and
rapid
honest.
fires. Let's keep going.
Well, this was a bit more thoughtful.
Okay.
How do you define friendship in the digital age?
Well, that is a much more thoughtful question than the previous ones. It's strange for me because I am on social media primarily to promote my work as a creator. But I think if I wasn't doing that, I don't think I would use social media very much. I am the type of person who has a very small group of friends that I treasure very deeply, and I don't make friends very quickly or very easily. But when I do make friends, I'm super loyal to them, and like it's a very deep like connection. Not big on social media in general, aside from promoting my work, but I don't know. I prefer like direct human to human interaction. Online dating is fucking terrible. Social media is terrible. Trying to have political discussions online is terrible. And it's all really frustrating because when you try to do these things in person, it's so much more constructive. People think that like we can't actually have discussions with each other anymore. But it's not true because when you actually sit down and talk to somebody who maybe is very different than you, you often can find common ground. And you can't do that on the internet. It's very difficult.
So, okay, so how do I define friendship? I didn't answer your question.
I think you did.
I think I did indirectly. I don't know how I define friendship in the digital age. I try to bypass it.
What public school would you have gone to had you not prepped at the academy?
Probably Lane.
Well, I mean, did you have a choice?
No.
Isn't it just where you live and then that's the one you...
My dad wanted me to go to Loyal Academy, and I didn't really have a say in the matter.
Did most of your friends go to Lane?
No. None of my friends did. Not from my grade school friends, none of them went there.
Where'd they go?
Most of them went to Sen. That was like our neighborhood that was the neighborhood I grew up in, and so they went there. Like the grade school that I went to was in that neighborhood, and most of the people I went to grade school went there.
Oh, so did you move into the Lane district?
No. I was never in that district, but you said which would I have chosen?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. What I meant was, what would your public high school be based on where you lived?
Oh, I made the assumption, like, what would I have chosen? It would have been Sen, I guess.
You know what happens when you assume? You just fuck everything up.
Yeah, I made an ass out of the two of us.
Did you have Mr. O'Loughlin for English?
Yeah.
Freshman year? Did we have class? Weren't we in Mr. O'Loughlin's English class together freshman year?
Yeah, I think so. I remember some fucking, like, preppy girl making some shitty comment about Nine Inch Nails and you getting all, like up in arms, like you were about ready to fucking blow a gasket.
Just like, is it just me? Or my desk look a lot better upside down right now?
Yeah. At the time, I wasn't that into Nine Inch Nails, but now I have matured and I quite love them.
Oh my god, I love the Johnny Cash song Hurt. Johnny Cash is such a great songwriter.
Yeah. That one's not my favorite.
Oh, no.
In either of theirs. But
I heard Trent Reznor was producing Zach De La Rocha's solo album, which never came out, when Johnny Cash released the music video for Hurt. And so someone brought it in on a laptop into the studio, and Zach and Trent watched it, and they cried.
Like, because of the emotions, or because, like,
it was
fuck
so
this
bad.
guy, they stole my shit.
How dare he? Well, it was produced by, fuck.
I don't know, man. It was produced by fuck.
American Records, Slayer producer. He produced Blood Sugar Sex Magic, Sunglasses, Big Ass Beard.
I'm not
He produced, like, Jay-Z. Rick Rubin. Because that's how I got there. So I was thinking, like, he produced Jay-Z's 99 Problems, and began the track. Jay's like, haha, you crazy for this one, Rick?
Oh, that's the Rick.
Rick Rubin.
Huh.
He produced fucking License to Ill.
Huh.
He was one of the co-founders of Def Jam Records.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
I know vaguely of Rick Rubin.
Yeah, he's got his hands in a lot of, like, from hip-hop to metal. Like, he did System of a Down and a lot of shit.
You like what you like. I like people who have broad tastes in everything stuff.
Yeah, people give me weird looks because I was wearing, like, eyeliner and nail polish on the bus on the ride home after high school. When I'm singing I Want That Way to myself out loud in the bus. And, like, what's up with him? Why can't he just fit into a neat little box where I can compartmentalize him?
You're only allowed to like one thing.
And, like, we get it, you're being ironic. Like, not being fucking ironic. I love that song. I Want That Way is a good song.
Yeah. It is a good song.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
I don't know. We got on a tangent here.
Nine Inch Nails and...
We were talking about, you brought up
Digital age.
high school and
Well, we got there because of something.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
I love Nine
So-
Inch Nails.
you live in the Sen
Anywho.
area.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Simpsons quote?
That's a tough one, man. They say he carved it from a bigger spoon. That one.
That one?
I think that's my favorite episode.
The chili hallucination episode.
Yeah. I think that is probably my favorite episode.
Is that the same one? I mean, it feels like it has to be. He's wearing the hat, and he's like, "It's time for chili, Marge." It's like, "Yes, Homer, I've seen your hat."
I don't remember that line. I haven't seen it in a very long time, but I love that episode.
Oh, and the talking fox was just this talking dog. Find your soulmate, Homer.
Yeah. Oh my God.
For whom are you named?
I don't know. I don't know how my parents chose my name. I never asked. I'm sorry.
My name, it's a fine name. I don't have anything against it. I kind of wish my parents had given me a middle name that starts with A, because then my initials would be Pat. That's maybe my only quibble at this point.
And if you could choose what it was.
Andrew. For all you Andrews out there, for my good friend Andrew Parkilla, part of my D&D group, I wish my middle name was Andrew.
And what class is he?
In Blood City, he's a paladin.
Hmm.
He plays a character named Holden Rothschild, who is the heir to the Rothschild Steel Company.
Indeed.
He's a great character. He's a very tortured backstory.
Yes. What about your character?
In D&D?
Yeah.
Well, I'm the DM, but
Well, you said you're in 2 campaigns.
in the last campaign that we played, I played a character called Lanaya, who's a monk, who came from he was a dimension traveler. He would hop from dimension to dimension to return balance to the chi of the various worlds he went to. And before that, when I first started playing D&D, the very first campaign I played a character named Jimmy Switchblade, who was a greaser from Jersey who got transported to the Forgotten Realms on a magical motorcycle that he stole from a mob boss who was involved in the occult. And his journey was to discover or to find parts to repair the motorcycle so he could get home and save his sister from this evil mob boss.
And he always hoped that each leap would be the leap home.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. One last question. Well, it's actually not a question. It just reads, "The 90s sucked. Now you say words."
I was fine with them. I lived. I didn't die.
You have a penchant for the flannel.
I mean, flannel's fucking cool.
Have you been wearing flannel ever since the 90s?
I didn't start
Do you
wearing
just
flannel
buy it
until
because it's
recently.
like, well, they say it's coming back and I don't care about the trends. I just go to the store to buy the clothes and this is the fucking clothes that they're selling now, so fuck it. I don't give a shit.
No. I have to wear collared shirts to work, and so I find shirts that I like, which tend to be flannels.
Ooh, you have a job.
I do.
I don't care.
Didn't really answer your question about the 90s. I don't.
There
I
was no
don't-
question.
I don't have a strong opinion on them. They happened.
Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people argue that one. Yeah.
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 I don't have any particular nostalgia for them, or whatever the opposite of nostalgia is.
Do you like Empire Records?
What? Oh, is that a TV show?
It's a film.
I haven't seen it. I'm sorry. You're probably really disappointed in me, aren't you?
Not disappointed, just disappointed.
I don't watch a lot of movies.
Came out in 1995.
That doesn't affect the statement that I made.
It followed the classic structure that they had to, like, the 80s. We gotta save the Youth Rec Center. The record store was getting bought out, and they had one day to buy out the franchise and save the independent record store.
Yeah,
Empire
but that was before they realized that fucking LimeWire and Napster were coming to fuck them up.
You like The Social Network?
I did like that movie.
Oh, I love The Social Network. I think it's one of the best films of the millennia.
I think the soundtrack's pretty amazing. Back to Trent Reznor.
Oh, yeah. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross fucking won the Academy Award that year for that score. I love that. I listen to that score all the time.
A question for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Atticus Ross' impact on Nine Inch Nails?
He is now an official member.
Right.
So,
but do you feel it is a positive impact, negative, or just a lateral?
I'm not against it, and not to say that as like a smooth political statement of not endorsing enthusiastically.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
I like what they've been working on together. I was really upset. Like, I do think that the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo score, that they should have gotten the Oscar for that one too. I fucking loved that movie. Fincher, well, it was Fincher again. Like, Fincher did Social Network and Dragon Tattoo, and Trent, and God, just fucking Sony. I wish they finished that trilogy. Anyway, Atticus Ross, Nine Inch Nails, that's cool. They worked well together, so Trent found somebody that he, for the first time ever, wanted to make an official studio member of the band. And why do you have strong feelings?
No, I feel like a lot of people don't like Atticus, and that, or not don't like him, but don't. The music that they make now is very much like it is distinctly Nine Inch Nails, but it is very, at the same time, it is also very different than what Trent did back in the day. You know, like there's a through line that connects everything that he's done, but like you can see like a trajectory of like that he's like the music has changed, but it is still distinctly Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah,
and I think that I really like that about Trent Reznor's music, is that like he has never been afraid to change and like do different things, even if it risks like, I don't know, alienating fans who may have like been invested in a different sound.
I think that it's just that first jump from Pretty Hate Machine to Downward Spiral with all that, the way the production value changed, because it's such a minimalist album. It's like going back to License to Ill, like as we were saying before, Beastie Boys.
I love Pretty Hate Machine.
And just like it's the soundscape just seems so thin, even just with all the frequency of sounds and just the instrumentation. Not a lot of stuff going on, but like it does so much with so little. But fans willing to go on the journey with him throughout all the albums, Fragile to Year Zero, and I think Nine Inch Nails today with Atticus Ross is still more Nine Inch Nails than like, and it's not fair to make the comparison, but I just saw the Foo Fighters at Wrigley Field. I got the tickets for free, so like day of, and I just jumped on it and took them and I went, and I love the show. It was amazing because like they're one of the last real like just rock bands around. And I've never felt so old at a concert because Dave just kept saying like, "All right, this next one's for all you like old ass motherfuckers," and then
Shut up, Dave.
But it was every song that I liked.
Yeah.
all the other songs, like I either didn't know because they were too new, or like I kind of recognized from like flipping the dial on the radio sometimes. And to me, the last Foo Fighters song I really liked was the acoustic version of Times Like These that came out in like '06. I didn't even like the electric full band version, but aside from that, like I prefer Foo Fighters before that date, and really just turn into that version of Simpsons. Like I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was.
Yeah.
Now what I'm with isn't it, and now what's it seems weird and strange to me. It'll happen to you.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Fuck.
So
Are
I like
you
new. I
sarcastic? I don't
still
even know
enjoy
anymore.
current Nine Inch Nails, but I haven't given a shit about Foo Fighters in the last decade with their new stuff.
So that's the thing, though. I feel like Nine Inch Nails is one of the probably the only band from the '90s that I still like really enjoy, and it's because they have changed so much over the years.
Yeah, you had to evolve with it.
Whereas, like, if you try to listen to fucking current day Green Day, it's like. It's like burning a fucking. It's like putting a shit in your ear and then lighting it on fire.
I couldn't even tell you, like, American Idiot happened, and then what have they done since then?
Nothing.
I
Nothing worth.
I assume
your
they have
attention.
albums, but like
They do, and they're not good.
I was on, because of the people I follow on Twitter, something popped up in my timeline that said, like, somebody posited this theory that, like, 9/11 not happening would have been the biggest change in the trajectory of emo music. Because if 9/11 didn't happen, then Green Day wouldn't have made American Idiot, which influenced all these bands that, like, My Chemical Romance and other things from the mid to late 2000s that then spawned other things and other things. Butterfly Effect with
I have never,
Ashton Kutcher. There we go.
I have never thought about how 9/11 impacted My Chemical Romance.
Oh, 9/11 changed everything.
Wow. Cool.
It wasn't my theory, it's just something I saw on Twitter last week, and it's like, oh, all right, that's a fair point. I'm sure other people would think different things about 9/11 not happening, like how their parents would still be around or children. You know. But yeah, you wouldn't have My Chemical Romance.
I don't know.
Well, that's not the question on the table.
How about that Dave Grohl, huh?
Did you? Well,
I think Dave
I don't-
Grohl is better when he's not singing.
I don't want so like avoid slander here. Let me put this very delicately. I heard that allegedly, I believe that's the key word my lawyer told, my attorney told me to use. Allegedly, Dave Grohl is an AIDS denier.
Oh.
The band performed at a benefit for a group that denies something. I forget. It was all.
That AIDS exist?
Or
I
that,
don't
like-
understand. How
Or like,
how can you deny AIDS? What does that mean?
that HIV leads to AIDS, or something about like it was.
What does that mean? That's just science. Like, what?
Well, yeah. Try telling that to the GOP about climate change. It's just science.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough. I don't
So
know.
the last
man.
15 minutes is going to be us ranting about politics and.
And 9 Inch Nails. You should back my Kickstarter because that's the best way to get a copy of the graphic novel of the 12. You can pre-order it and get it shipped to you right to your house. You can also get it at your local comic book shop or on Etsy through Alterna's website.
There's a link in the description. You should click on that link. It'll take you there. Give money, pre-order. You're not just giving money, you're pre-ordering. It's an investment in art, you uncultured swine. Patrick Trahey hates you. He thinks you're just disgusting, and you should, if you could redeem yourself in his eyes. But the official stance of Alterna Comics is, I am not qualified to say any of this. I do not speak on behalf of anybody.
Stop. Shut up. Shut up, bro.
Patrick Trahey, the 12, link in the description. You can follow him on social media. Maybe there's links down there too. And follow myself. Validate me. Give me a purpose.
You have to do that for yourself. You claim to be a nihilist, but
I'm out of alcohol and I'm out of a purpose.
you need to embrace existentialism. Because your nihilism won't serve you without a purpose.
Fuck you. Good night.